Hey everyone, it is YaBonks here, otherwise known as Alex, and today I am doing an AMA with Hare Finance with my buddy Josh. Uh, Josh, do you want to say hello to the viewers?
Hey guys, it's Josh from Hare Finance, and you might know me also from Raiders of DeFi and from Passenger as well. Happy to be here and look forward to answering all of your questions, Mr. YaBonks, Mr. Alex.
Oh, thank you. I have a lot. I have a lot to ask you, and I know it's late right now. You and I always seem to do business late at night when everybody else goes to bed, and we're up doing things. So, speaking of Hare Finance, before we get into it, I just want to let all of my viewers know that there is going to be a whitelist giveaway contest as part of this AMA. Now, Josh here has agreed to generously donate 10 whitelist spots to my community, to my viewers. And after this AMA, I will be making a separate giveaway contest video where I will lay out the rules for the 10 whitelist spot giveaway. So, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on my YouTube channel so you do not miss that whitelist spot giveaway video when it drops. You'll have a short window of time to enter into the contest to potentially win one of the 10 whitelist spots. So that's very exciting. Now, Josh, do you want to give a brief elevator pitch level description of what Hare Finance is, what you guys are doing, and what you see for yourselves going forward?
Yeah, sure. So maybe I'll do a little background first on what the history is of this project. I guess I won't go into my full background because I've done that before, but I'll start out with what Hare Finance started out as. And basically, a little bit ago, I was an investor in a project called Leonidas Finance.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was echoing there for a bit. Hold on a sec. I'm going to try to unecho myself.
Sure. And while you're doing that, I just want to point out to the viewers that I am wearing a Hare t-shirt. So I am the only person in the world who has Hare merch right now. And that is one of the special privileges of being YaBonks.
Nice, dude. All right, cool. Yeah, no, I love the shirt. It's definitely fitting for this conversation. So I'm giving you extra props for that.
Yeah, and just to let everyone know,
yeah.
This is not an official Hare Finance shirt. This is actually from one of my favorite animal sanctuaries, Live Freely Sanctuary, and they rescue a lot of hares and tortoises, and and they've got some celebrity residents there, and they did this whole tortoise and the hairless. They have a hairless hare that they rescued, and I just thought it was a fitting shirt for our discussion today.
Yeah, man, I love it. I'm stoked that you have that shirt on for this AMA. So let me give you a little. Oh, look at that! Look at Zephyr go. Okay. All right. Well, anyway, I'll give you a little backstory about how Hare Finance started, and it began right after working on Passenger, which is my other project, which is like a Discord bot / staking thing. I was an investor in a Titano fork called Leonidas Finance,
Mm-hmm.
which was, I thought, a very unique fork of Titano and all the different mechanisms that it had. And it actually is the first fork that I saw that had an LP node. I hadn't ever even seen that before, which I think they did by accident because they they screwed up the code and turned the 90 days into infinity.
No way.
So I locked up in there and was kind of hoping for the best, and it was printing like 100% daily APR, and it was getting crazy, and they added even more mechanisms to earn money, and all really, really neat, interesting ways to do things. But unfortunately, they've made it so unsustainable that it killed itself after about a week.
Wow. And I remember you
So,
telling me
yeah,
that when it was going on, you were like, I YOLO'd way too much into this cool project, but did you make your money back on that?
I actually did do pretty decently. I put a bunch into the node after I bought the token from the pre-sale initially. I actually took half of the money that I got into the token, sold half, and then LP'd it with AVAX, I think it was, and then just dropped it into the node. It kind of YOLO'd into the node. And yeah, it actually worked out really well because the APR was so high. It lasted for like, I want to say 1 to 2 weeks before it was completely dead, but then the project was dead too.
Mm-hmm.
And people were selling their rewards because the rewards were so high daily. It was ridiculous.
Right.
And you just can't do that. And I tried to tell the developer or the project leader so many times, you got to lower this APR like right now, or you think things just gonna die like so fast. And they wouldn't listen to me. I tried my best, but it just didn't happen. So
Yeah.
that got me thinking, is there a way to take this protocol and make something really sustainable and have some of these unique features that Leonidas did? And that kind of got me thinking and started Hare Finance and started working on some of those ideas. And then after a while, I was seeing a lot of Titano forks kind of shit the bed.
Yeah.
as you've seen as well. And
the
I
market
decided
right now
not
is not
to.
helping that.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
are
So
pulling a lot of their risk off the table, and all these altcoins and smaller DeFi projects are they're they're getting hit harder than Bitcoin and BNB and AVAX and stuff. Even though those are getting hit too, but these altcoins, they get hit 10 times as worse, 10 times worse.
yeah, it's getting pretty rough out there. And
Yeah.
in times like these, it's basically a time to, I would say personally, buy more of the altcoins because it will go back up eventually, and also be building something because now it's kind of a quiet time. So we've got some time to build and make some cool stuff while we're waiting.
Speaking of, you mentioned you know, buying while there's blood in the streets and all that, that concept. I just want to let everybody know who's listening. None of what we're talking about here is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Josh is not either. And this is all for entertainment and informational purposes only. Do your own research, make your own investing decisions, and all that with whatever you do with your capital. Also, for the record, I know I've been doing this in the beginning of all my videos. I forgot to do it today. This is not actually a sponsored video. This is a video I am doing because Josh is my buddy and I like what he's doing here. So I'm doing this AMA to him as a favor, and he is giving back to my community and my viewers with those whitelist spots. So just to let everybody know, disclosures and disclaimers right there, and I'll put the full thing in the description for anybody wondering about that. So, do you want to continue on with what you were saying about projects in the current market?
Yeah, so I was saying, DeFi is kind of getting hit really hard right now, and a lot of people are bailing out of these projects. But in the background, there's a lot of stuff being made, a lot of stuff being built, including what we're doing. And I'm seeing a lot of new projects and new ideas emerging right now. Some really interesting stuff that seems like in the next month or so, we're going to be seeing some really cool new projects, including my own. But yeah, so also with what you just said, definitely not financial advice, and I am 100% not a financial advisor. I'm more of a degen than anything else, as everyone knows. But
Yeah.
I'd like to support YaBonks' community as a nice server as well, so you should definitely join his server.
The server is actually exclusive right now. It's a secret, so I haven't
maybe you
advertised it
shouldn't.
publicly yet. No, it's
I
fine.
didn't know that.
I talk about it, but I haven't made the link public yet. So right now it's exclusive, and I'm going to keep it that way for a while. Eventually I'll open it up to the wider public, but it's kind of cool having like this small tight knit like group of like other YouTube influencers and like basically the people that I think are cool in the space that I kind of cherry pick out of communities because I like them and I think they're good people. So I want to keep it like that for a while, and then eventually I'm gonna open the whole thing up and just let whoever pile on in. But for a while, I kind of like the whole secret club aspect of it.
Yeah, and I've been dropping in there, you know, almost every day, I would say, just kind of hanging out and chilling with you guys. And you got your little drip army going, and I
Yeah.
appreciate your little drops and whatever you've been doing there. I haven't done enough research on drip to understand, but I know a lot of people are into that. And one of these days, I'm gonna have you give me a full tutorial
Yeah,
on
and
drip.
I actually have made a full drip video, project review kind of video, and I've also made a video talking about the YaBonks drip army, which you are a part of, and how it basically is just a fun thing to do. I don't know if drip's gonna do well over time or not. It's lasted over a year, but I think it's fun because like the team building aspect, and it has this built-in airdropping system. So I every week, as you know, I've just been like just giving away so much of my drip. It just makes for like a fun thing to do every weekend. So yeah, I'm glad you're part of the team there.
Yeah, no, I'm loving that, and I haven't actually, I guess, paid attention to everything going on in the drip army, but I really appreciate that you're doing that stuff, man. It's really nice for your community.
Yeah,
Um,
it makes
anyway,
me feel good.
back
It's like
to
it gives me something to look forward to. You know.
Yeah, no, it's definitely fun. Now I kind of forgot what I was talking about, but anyway,
Oh, also
I
speaking
was,
of videos, check out my passenger video. While I'm talking about videos in my channel, go check out the passenger app video that I did with Josh early on when my channel was very young. I'm a software engineer, and another software engineer, well, a guy who I consider a legend in my field. He reached out to me personally and said, "You need to meet this guy, Josh. He is working on something really creative that I haven't seen before, and I think you would like too." So he put us in touch, Josh. If you remember that, that was Photon Storm. Uh, and we both have a history with game development, you, me, and Photon Storm. So he's kind of a legend in that space, and he put me in touch with you. And then I did an AMA interview with you about the passenger swap application, which I think is super cool still. So I just want to let everybody know that interview is on my channel. You can go find it and watch from a few months ago when Josh and I were first getting to know each other.
yeah, those were good times, and I'm still working on Passenger, adding more and more features to that too. And actually, it's the same developer that's working on Hare Finance, which is CodeJax.
Okay.
CodeJax isn't here right now, but he's doing both of those things. And I have another developer who's working on the Discord part of Passenger, which is doing lots of crazy stuff now, which I'll talk about at some other time.
Yeah, we can get
But
into that later.
yeah,
So
for sure.
So,
Um,
so if you want to go back to your elevator pitch for Hare Finance, I
yeah,
know you were going over the Leonidas Finance situation and debacle, and how that kind of prompted you to come up with a solution and an attempt to kind of rescue members of that community who were fans of Leonidas Finance, but like got kind of wrecked there, and you saw a way to do it better. Would you want to talk about that?
yeah. So after that kind of like after Leonidas was abandoned, I had the idea to start trying to do a fork of that. It didn't Hare didn't turn into a fork of Leonidas Finance. We went through lots of different ideas, and finally I came up with the DCA idea, which is basically a user deposits USDCE, and this is on Avalanche, of course,
Mm-hmm.
into the protocol, and it will buy the Hare token 10 times over 10 hours. So it kind of DCAs the Hare token, and once it does that, it locks it up into the protocol for a set amount of time that the user picks. And during that time, when you're locked up, you can claim USDC rewards. And the taxes from the sells and the buys and all those things go into the treasury and other things to give the rewards out and to pay us as well to do the development for the protocol. So a lot of that stuff you can find in the white paper, like the more detailed aspects of it. But basically, the new and cool thing about Hare Finance is that we've got this auto DCA function, which puts a lot of buy pressure on the token over a set period of time, and then drops it into the staking automatically and locks it for a certain period of time. So it basically does a lot of anti-dump prevention by having all these different mechanisms. And there's a lot more in the white paper that you can check out to see what else it's doing. But though I would say that the DCA function is probably the newest, and I don't think I've seen it. I don't know if you've seen it in another protocol. I don't think I've ever seen it in a protocol.
Yours is the first. You're the first person to even mention this concept to me, and I think it's a really great idea for preventing people from first trying to take advantage of whale-sized purchases for exit liquidity, and also for preventing, and basically for just giving a smoother chart. Because like if a bunch of people buy in a very short period of time and the price spikes up, then you might get a bunch of people who say, "Oh, I got to sell right now to take advantage of that temporary inflation." And yours, if it's 10 hours, so if I put $1,000 in, you're saying every hour it would buy $100 worth of Hare every hour for 10 hours. Is that right?
Essentially, yes, minus
Okay.
the taxes for deposit fees. Like the whitelist, a bunch of people in our server already whitelist, so they will get a 3% deposit fee as opposed to a 6% deposit fee when the whitelist ends. And then anyone outside of the protocol buying on a DEX will have to pay 12% in buy tax. And then there's a 20% sell fee. So that will discourage lots of dumping as well. And then there's an overall only 1% a day of the entire liquidity pool can be dumped. So there's a lot of different mechanisms going on that should keep the price very stable and prevent, big whale dumps and pre-sale dumps that you normally see with these tokens. So that's what we're really excited about. And I think, a lot of the auto rebasers have attempted to do that or try to prevent things like that. And I'm hoping, with what we've come up with, the DCA function and the other things, that all these combined will make a much smoother investment overall in a very long term, because our APRs are not very high. They're still decent. It's still like 1 to 1.8% per day on the USDC while you're locked up. So that's still fairly high, but not at super crazy degen high. And that's what our intention is.
Now, is that for the 60-day vault though? Yeah,
the 60-day vault is for 1.8%.
Okay. So the APY will change depending on which vault you're in, and the vaults are in the Hare meadows. So the meadows where the hares frolic about, right? You have 15-day vaults, 30-day vaults, 45-day vault, and a 60-day vault. And the APR and APY increases the longer, the higher duration vault that you're in, correct?
Correct. So you can even see if you go, because we already have the test app that's up. It's not functional yet by any means. It's still all testing. But if you go to harefinance.io, it'll take you to the landing page. And from there, you can click on Meadows at the top. And then you'll see the different vaults.
Harefinance.io?
Harefinance.io. Yep.
Okay, you know what? Sorry, folks. I put like the full URL. I'm going to, boom, there on the screen. You should see it now. I updated it from harefinance.netlify.app to harefinance.io. So
Oh, well, right now it's just a redirect anyway. So
Yeah.
whatever that was fine, but that's okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but you can anyway. So you can go to the meadows and you can check out those vaults that we have already set up. You can't actually deposit yet because we're still a few weeks out. So we're going to be doing testnet for a bit, and then we'll be doing tests more for real as we get closer. But you can kind of see what's going on and understand how the protocol works and how you can approve and deposit your USDCE and how you'll be able to withdraw the Hare. It shows the forfeit tax of 30%. So for the whitelisters, while they'll get the benefit of getting the token for 0.005, I believe, they won't be able to dump instantly. So it's not going to look like a chart that you normally see with like a huge spike and then a big dump. And if it did, I'm not even sure how that's possible. So that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I want to kind of see if I can share my screen here. If this works. Okay. So Josh, can you see my screen?
Yes. Let me have to click watch stream, but I can see. Yep,
Okay.
I can see it.
So here is the Hare Meadows that we're talking about with the 15-day vault, 30-day, 45, and 60-day vaults. Now, if I understand this correctly, there are basically three different ways you can get into Hare. The first way is the cheapest way is the whitelist option, where you only pay a 3% buy tax, right?
3% deposit fee, basically.
Deposit fee. Okay, and then the next way is regular standard deposit, which is a 6% fee. And then if you were to buy Hare off of any other DEX or anywhere else, you would be hit with a 12% fee. Now, could you explain the difference between the buy fee, like a buy tax, versus like a deposit fee here?
Yeah, so with the deposit fee, what happens is the 3% goes to basically handling all the gas required for these 10 buys,
Hmm.
and a small amount goes into the treasury. So that's, anyone depositing, they get to take advantage of that only protocol only benefit of depositing their USDCE and earning the USDCE at the same time. Whereas if you're just buying from a DEX, there's no other benefit yet. We will have an LP farm that'll be L2 after the first 15-day lockup. We should be releasing the LP farm before that ends. So people buying it on a DEX will have a way to use the Hare token if they buy there, but it's much preferred if they deposit into the protocol and get a much less deposit fee or tax.
So, and to get Hare tokens, the best way to do it would be to deposit USDC which, and the E is for on an Ethereum network, right? So USDC on Avalanche here. You deposit your USDC here, and it does the 10-hour auto DCA protocol. And during that 10 hours, does your deposit gain rewards here while it is being deposited that whole 10 hours, or only as it gets deposited chunk by chunk?
You will be able to claim rewards after the first 24 hours, I believe. So you still will be gaining from that time starting.
So if I put $1,000 of USDC in, would I be getting this APY the instant I finish that transaction, even though it's going to, purchase Hare tokens or however it does it from the liquidity pool on Pangolin every hour? Do the rewards at that APY start the instant I deposit that $1,000?
Yes, that will start instantly as soon as you deposit that. It won't be it won't be after the 10 hours is up.
Okay. Okay, good to know. So I put in $1,000. I immediately start getting the rewards. On the back end, your smart contract handles the transfer with the liquidity pool in a dollar cost average style way to lessen the impact and smooth out the chart. So that just goes on in the background. From the user experience perspective, though, I put in $1,000. I immediately start receiving the full rate of rewards, and the rewards are paid out in Hare, correct? Or are there dual rewards with USDC as well?
Well, it's dual rewards, and I guess you could call Hare a reward, but not really, because you're buying it as
Okay.
if you were buying, on a DEX, but you're getting it through the protocol instead. So it's USDC is your main reward, and then Hare is what you claim at the very end.
I see. So does the Hare inside of this stake in the vault here, once if I buy $1,000 worth of Hare tokens, let's just for simplicity's sake, let's say I get 1,000 Hare tokens. Will it be 1,000 Hare tokens in that vault for that entire period, and at the end I get 1,000 Hare tokens back, and that APY then would apply to USDC?
Correct.
Okay.
So it's the APY to the USDC. The Hare is kind of a separate thing from the buy only, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's an interesting method. So if I wanted to buy Hare tokens, I want to get $1,000 worth of Hare tokens. I put in $1,000 of USDC. You do some magic on the back end with the auto DCA protocol to give a smoother liquidity pool effect. And then let's say I put it in the 15-day vault. During that 15 days, that $1,000 worth of Hare tokens will just be sitting there waiting for me to claim at the end. But during that 15 days, I will be earning 3,546% APY yearly. I don't know
yearly, not daily.
Right. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what the APR would be. Daily. Okay. I'm blind. It's right here. Daily APR is 1% on the 15-day vault. So I would be earning 1% daily in USDC on that $1,000. So what would that be? Like $10 a day for my $1,000 I put in here for 15 days. So at the end of that 15 days, I would get $150 extra USDC. So I would, at the end of the 15 days, I would claim everything from the vault, and I would get, whatever $1,000 worth of Hare tokens bought me at that time, at the time I'd made my deposit, and then I would get $1,150 of USDC back. Correct? Approximately, because I'm assuming that 1% compounds upon itself inside of the vault. Is that right? Or
I gotta check that math, because that sounds, I'm not sure if that the way you worded that was correct.
Okay.
It's because with the auto DCA method, you're basically buying Hare with your USDC, but you're also gaining the reward as well. So you're taking your 1,000 USDC and you're buying $1,000 worth of Hare with it minus the tax, but then you're gaining the USDC reward plus the whatever amount of Hare you got, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So okay, like, I see what you're saying. Like so I wouldn't at the end.
Like you're staking yeah, it's not like you're staking the USDC and then unstaking it.
I see. That $1,000 USDC turns into Hare tokens, but I would get the rewards at the end of that in USDC. So like instead of getting $1,150 USDC back, I would get $1,000 worth of Hare tokens minus the buy and sell fees or whatever, and then I would get, let's say, $150 of USDC rewards along with that. Is that right? Approximately.
Correct.
Approximately.
Yep. And with the constant auto buying, the price of the Hare should continuously raise up. And if you were to deposit into the longer vaults, you get the benefit of having a higher APR for a longer period. so you get more if you wait.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it's kind of like it's an interesting new way to do it, I think. It's going to be really interesting to watch the chart once we start the protocol up.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. Now I see a 30% forfeit. Is that if you do an emergency unstake on one of these vaults?
Yeah, so that's that's to prevent dumps on the Hare token. So if you were to basically try to claim your emergency withdraw your Hare tokens early, you would take that 30% penalty. And as I said, that's to prevent people from dumping early. So that will really help the sustainability. And eventually, when it gets past your term, when your term is up, there's no penalty. You just withdraw. There's no withdrawal fee there for your Hare.
Okay, and that 30% forfeit would be 30% of your Hare tokens and
Correct.
your USDC rewards that accrued, or no?
No, it would be just on your Hare.
Okay. Now, will you be able to claim at any point during this, like other staking pools? You can come in and kind of harvest your rewards every day if you wanted, while the rest, your main capital is staked in there. Will it work that way here?
Yeah, so similar to, I guess you would say, a node, even though I'm not a big fan of nodes. But once you stake your USDC, you'll be able to claim once a day on the USDC rewards.
Okay, once a day.
So in that aspect, it's similar.
I see. Okay, and just to clarify, you said there is an anti-whale mechanism in place. If I remember, you said a whale from one wallet can only sell up to 1% of the total liquidity per day. And from the white paper, if I remember correctly, you apply the sales tax to wallet transfers to prevent whales from just shifting around their Hare tokens to other wallets if they want to just dump a massive amount, more than 1% of that total liquidity per day. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. There's there's a lot of different whale. It's like we've gone overboard on the whale dumping protection here. But I mean, coming from that other one, I just wanted to make sure that we don't have such dumpage on the token. I mean, we want to build this over a long period of time. Sustainability was the number one focus of this protocol. So all these things had to be put in place, and then we smoothed it out with the DCA function. So that part is going to be the most interesting for me. And then for the future, we have some things planned. The first thing is the LP Hare USDC LP that will come into play. That LP is set up similar to a Tomb fork, where the lower the TVL, the higher the APR for people that get in earlier.
Okay, and that's like most traditional staking pools on yield farms that I've been in before, where the more diluted the pool gets, the lower the APR gets. Is that right?
Exactly. Yep, that's similar. I've actually seen a Tomb fork lately that did the opposite. They did a higher the TVL, higher the APR. I'm not sure how they're doing that.
That seems like a coding error on their part. I don't know. It could be wrong. Maybe that's the right way to do it, but that doesn't make sense to me.
Well, that was the first time I've ever seen it. But they also have a very high they had a 8% withdraw from the LP farm too. That was also interesting. I've seen actually a lot of interesting things come through my server.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that the LP farm is the L2.
And which server is that again?
Sorry, that's Raiders of DeFi. So that's it used to be called Tomb Raiders, but now it's called Raiders of DeFi, just because there's so many different types of different forks and different DeFi projects that we decided to rename it.
Right, and I'm a fan of Raiders of DeFi. I've been in there now for a few months. It's a cool place. I've learned a lot about different projects from you and your community there. So if you guys haven't checked it out, check out Raiders of DeFi Discord server. I'll put a link in the description of this video. So
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's
yeah,
cool to kind of go from running a server to then running a protocol. It's a totally different experience. But it was kind of nice because I built up a community there with my, amazing team, all awesome guys and, awesome mods and everything. And so now it's weird to be able to promote a protocol that I'm running through
yeah.
through my server. But anyway, onto
That's
the
probably a good way to get into this. You're kind of like a producer level developer where like with your gaming the games you develop and also other things you do, you're kind of a designer and a manager and facilitator, and then you find the right people to do what they're best at, right?
Yeah, exactly. I guess I'm best as a producer, designer, and kind of the idea person, and then working with developers to make those ideas happen. So
And
anyway, I just
yeah,
answered a question from someone who was in there and asked me why I don't like nodes. Just because I've been rugged so many times in nodes. That's why I don't like nodes particularly.
yeah, that and it knows if they start rugging, there's nothing you can really do, right?
Yeah, you're locked in forever, and you're not going to get anything out of it. So
Yeah.
anyway, moving on to we got the LP farm. The L3 is we plan on doing. Oh yeah. So Cryptzom is saying go see Grape. Yeah, I know about the Grape nodes. Yes, I have. I actually have a Grape NFT that I got through Dow King. He kind of hooked us up with some alpha, and we all got Grape NFTs early. So that was cool. I actually still have that Grape NFT. I haven't done anything with it yet, but it's pretty cool. And you get a benefit from holding the NFT. I believe there's some kind of airdrop or lottery or something from if you have the Grape nodes, which I don't, but that's okay. The NFT is pretty cool. So now I forgot what I was talking about.
You were
Yeah,
talking about
okay.
the
So,
LP farms.
yeah, right. So there's going to be the LP farm that opens right before the first locking period ends so that people will be able to LP their hair and have some use for it afterward and be able to earn. Yeah, I know. I was promoting Grape all of a sudden. I don't know what happened there. I
Well,
like Grape. I was actually in Grape very early when it first launched and having lots of fun in Grape. And then, I took a break from Grape and did the other things. But anyway, L3 is our partner farms, which we plan on having a few of. I can see that Golden is actually in this AMA chat with us, and I've been talking to him about Piggy Farm, a Piggy token partner farm, and also been talking about a Titan partner farm as well. And you probably know Alex YaBonks that Titan is on BSC.
yeah, I love BSC
So
myself. That's generally where I degen around.
right. So we do plan to go to BSC as our next chain. We're going to start with Avalanche. I'm a big fan of Avalanche. And bring it to BSC afterward and partner up with some nice folks to have some farms there. And that's our L3. And then L4, I'm actually going to look at our roadmap again because I
Yeah, I'll pull this
forgot.
back up. Here's the roadmap.
Yeah. So we're going to have the Hare NFTs that we're going to do some minting with. I already did a bunch of designs for those. So those are kind of ready to go. I might make them a little bit better, but we'll do some minting of those. And then after the mint, we will do some NFT staking or some other things with that. And beyond that, more partnerships. We did plan on doing some kind of a casino, but we haven't really decided yet. And probably some kind of a lottery system.
Cool.
And that is it for the roadmap as we speak. But we still have a few weeks to go before we even launch Hare, so we're still kind of figuring things out and adding more and changing a few things. So the white paper is not 100% final. For anyone asking questions, if they see a typo or anything like that, we're still working on things and we're still making it right, and we have a little ways to go. But if you have any more questions, you can just put them in general chat and I can answer. But I'll go back to you, Mr. YaBonks, if you have anything.
Well, one thing I wanted to say is with what you've done over at Tomb Raiders, now known as Raiders of DeFi, is you have gained probably a lot of experience, connections, and information about a lot of different kinds of projects. You know, obviously going hard into the Tomb Fork space, and then now, you know, broadening your horizons into all these other projects like the auto stakers, nodes, things like that. So, you know, leading a community that big and working with so many developers for so many different kinds of projects probably gives you a very special kind of insight into what you think works and doesn't work, what you think people like and don't like, and also probably gives you a little bit of foresight into the future, seeing maybe new trends in DeFi or which way the trends are moving, and I see you implementing a lot of the things that are trending right now, with LP farms, partner farms, NFT staking, things like that. And then also like this whole automated DCA concept. I've never seen that anywhere else. If anybody else has seen another project with that, put it down in the comments on this YouTube video below. I'd like to know if there's anybody else doing something like this. But as far as I know, you're the first one to do this.
Yeah, I think again, I haven't ever seen anything like that, but I could be wrong. I've been in a lot of different DeFi projects and a lot of different chains, and I have this server that, you know, I'm in all day long looking at different projects. Oh my gosh, my phone's going into low power mode. Just letting you know.
Okay,
But
no worries.
no, I haven't personally seen it. One of the reasons why I came up with it or added it is because people talk about DCA all the time.
Yeah,
Every single
that's like the
server I'm
best
ever in.
trading methodology, in my opinion, not financial advice. Yeah.
Yeah, people talk about it. It came up a lot during the whole Luna debacle, because it was up and down like crazy, and I was kicking myself a bunch of times for not DCAing those few days. But people are using it a lot, and it never gets used in an actual protocol. So I thought it was a little bit strange, to be honest. And I was thinking, why not? People are rebasing, but that doesn't really do anything for the token price unless you add all these other mechanisms to counteract those other, adding the tokens. So the DCA would actually build the price versus, just adding more tokens that can get dumped. So that was my thought there. If there are other DCA protocols, I'd love to hear, but as I said, I haven't seen any yet. I'm hoping people will fork this one. Maybe it would be kind of cool. We'll see what happens, but yeah, we're a few weeks out, so we're still taking some suggestions and we're building whitelists up. I know you want to have some kind of contest in your YouTube channel to give out some whitelists.
Yes, I'm going to give away 10 whitelists. You said you were willing to do that for me, because I love giving stuff to my community and my viewers. So we could do 10 whitelists. You agreed to that. That'll be super fun for people wanting to try this out. And maybe later on down the road, after you launch, maybe we could do like a Hare token giveaway airdrop contest or something as well. If you're willing to do something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll have the minting of the NFTs at some point. So we'll probably do some giveaways of those as well.
Awesome. Cool, man.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see if there's any more questions in the comments.
I have a couple more questions too.
Oh, okay.
So
for it.
you say we a lot, and I know you're the producer, designer, kind of the mastermind here, and I know you have a lot of connections to talented developers. So who are the other members of your team?
So we've got Kojax is actually the developer of this protocol. We're the main two members, and then we just have all of our mods that help us out in the server here. And then I like to get a lot of advice from my friends and buddies and Tomb Raider friends as well. So it's weird. It's kind of like I guess a bit of a family, and I do take some advice from everyone. Oh, I just saw stream has ended.
Yeah, I stopped screen sharing the
Oh,
website
okay.
just so that way this will be a look more like a normal discussion now that we've gone through your website and shown the meadows and everything like that.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Now I forgot what I was saying.
So you're talking about your main partner in this is Kojax, the developer.
Yep, and he actually was on our other AMA this morning, that we had over at
Fear versus Greed.
Fear versus Greed.
I
Really,
listened to that
really
one.
great
I heard
community.
Kojax talking. Okay, so now I put the voice to the name now. Okay.
Yeah, and Kojax, he's an interesting guy. He is very talented and he is very fast at putting things together and using a lot of my crazy ideas. Because he worked with me on Passenger as well, so he was able to do that stuff and doing the DApp work on Passenger. So
Nice.
he seems like the kind of guy that is willing to take on any challenge and deliver fairly quickly. So I really appreciate that. And he came on the AMA. He's not here right now, but he came on earlier and he was explaining a lot of the more technical contract stuff that I can't wrap my head around because I'm not a programmer myself.
Yeah.
But yeah, his work is much appreciated. So
yeah, and I remember when you were developing Passenger app, we would talk about something, and I would say, I like this a lot, but would it make more sense to do it this way for a slightly better user experience? And you're like, yeah, that makes sense. And within like hours, it would just be like, it would just materialize and be done. So now knowing that Kojax was your developer then too, and you saying how fast he is, that it kind of just clicked in my head.
Yeah, Kojax. Well, he did all the like the front end JavaScript, React stuff, and then I have another developer whose name is Biggest, and he's actually on the server right now as well. He's not in the AMA channel. He might be asleep already, but he does a lot of the Discord stuff, Discord specific stuff, and he has done some super cool stuff with Passenger. Lately, we did some crazy chatbot stuff and super funny. I've been messing around with it, just having fun, but that's kind of like sort of a longer term, I guess, longer term non-crypto project, even as it is crypto related. It's also just like a fun Discord project for me. Mm-hmm. So I'm just having fun with that and working on Hare and getting that ready for protocol launch. So
the
yeah,
full
we're very
team,
excited about all this stuff.
The full Hare Finance team is you and Kojax. Is there anybody else?
I would say that's the core team right there. I mean, besides the mods and people kind of advising, it's really Kojax and I are the core team.
And are both of you KYC'd?
So not yet, but we are doing actually I do have Kojax LinkedIn. He might let me post the LinkedIn page at some point.
You're about to dox this man without him knowing.
Yeah, I gotta ask him first, but yeah, he is doxed to me. Yeah. We're planning on doing KYC with April Clock, and it's a good thing because they have also a nice promotion system that goes hand in hand with their KYC, so we get put on the April Clock calendar. Yeah. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or not. But
I've used April Clock's calendar a lot.
Yeah, it's a pretty nice resource for degens, and I used to use it a lot more than I do now. But
same.
Just getting listed there is great and get a lot of new investors. So we're definitely planning on the KYC from there, and then we're planning on the multi-sig And let me see if I have the details. It's going to be a Gnosis safe situation. Kojak actually sent me the more technical details earlier today of what he plans for that, but I'm not going to get into it because he's not here. But we do plan on working on the multi-sig. And then we have the audit, which we haven't decided where we're getting the audit. We might do it from Raiders because it's my server and I know the auditors there. But there are a lot of other audit options for any protocol, and I'm familiar with a lot of them. I don't really want to spend like $25K on a Certic audit.
Yeah, I mean, some
just
people
I don't
like
think
Certic, but at
yeah.
least getting a code audit that will say like you're using proper code standards and ways to do things so you don't open yourself up to technical exploits, and then they'll often say like these particular functions, how they're set up, might be a potential ownership issue. So, make sure you trust your devs so they don't rug you, kind of thing. Um, are you going to renounce ownership of any kind of features from the smart contracts to kind of give confidence to participants in your protocol that you won't even have the ability to, rug or do anything like that, any kind of weird stuff like that going forward? Or are you going to keep that control to help guide the ship as it goes and just, do like what a lot of other projects do and just build that trust between you and your community? What's your strategy there?
So far, our strategy is to actually. Oh boy, Golden's actually writing in. What is he writing? Let me see what he writes. I can tell you what we're planning, but I want to hear what Golden says. What are you gonna say? He's saying don't.
Don't. What does that mean? What does that mean?
He says do not renounce.
Yeah, and
that's an interesting. Yeah,
it's
interesting.
You can kind of back yourself into a corner if you do that. You have to like really have a full future-proof smart contract. Otherwise, you might get stuck having to migrate to like a V2 later on and put everybody through that kind of an ordeal. So yeah, there are a lot of pros and cons to that discussion. So it's interesting. Like I know some of the big ones like Titano, they gave themselves a lot of control and ownership over features that were called out, and I think their Solidity audit early on, and then they had to work through those for their Certic audit in the V2. But basically, they kept all sorts of control, and the community just mainly trusted them because of their track record with how they dealt with like the lottery play, the play lottery hack early on, where that all got stolen. They got the money back and they made everybody whole again. So that showed like a level of trust, and that really was a bullish sentiment for them. And everybody's like, okay, you can have that control over your smart contracts. You guys are okay having those keys to the castle. So it worked out for them, and it's worked out well for some. But some other projects though, where some people might not have that trust for the developers, it might create a FUD type scenario, or a FUD storm, if you will, where people might be like, I don't trust this guy, and he has the ability to pull funds from this or change the or to change the address for this fund where the taxes are going or something like that. So is there any strategy you can lay out to maybe talk about how you're planning on handling that going forward, or any assurances you can give to participants in your project?
Yeah, so we have had multiple discussions about this, and early on we were talking about renouncing, but now that we've got many different layers planned and different ideas moving forward, we may not renounce. I'm not gonna put a final note on that right now because we're still a little bit out. But yeah, I've seen a ton of projects migrate to V2 tokens, and I don't know. It can go both ways, and I hate to say it, but what will happen happens with these projects. I just want to say that, I have a lot to lose by doing anything shady because most of the community knows me. I'm in, Raiders of DeFi. I'm in What the Fork. I'm a mod over there. So I can't really do anything that would put me in trouble. And I want to make sure that we make a nice, sustainable protocol. And I have learned a lot since starting the server and just DeFi in general over the last year to know, what can make a protocol last. And that's what I've been, working on with Kojak. So, as the next few weeks progress, we're going to be fine tuning things and hopefully get it launched soon enough so people aren't waiting forever, but still make it, nice and tight for launch.
And with all that being said, you said Kojax is doxed. Is that right?
He's doxed to me.
To you,
and I haven't actually asked him if he'll let me post the LinkedIn page for him.
Okay.
He probably will let me because he wants to go on video.
Oh, cool. That's great. And what about you? Would you ever consider doxing yourself? I know you've doxed yourself to me personally. We've had video chats in the past, and we've had a lot of face-to-face conversations. Would you ever consider anything like that for the wider community?
Yeah, I am considering it. I'm not sure exactly when. I know, having a conversation with Dow King about doing a video AMA over there, and I'm kind of both ways on it.
I like Dow King. He's one of my friends out here. I talk to him a lot. He's a cool guy. That would be a good way. I mean, that'd be a good place to do it if you were to do it.
Yeah, I am considering that. The crypto community kind of scares me a little bit at the same time too.
Oh hell yeah! Oh, it's terrifying out here, bro. I get death threats all the time just because I'm a YouTuber in here, and like you're gonna have to be ready for that kind of thing. No matter what you do, you're gonna get some crazy saying some crazy stuff to you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it was kind of nice when I was, doing a little bit more of the passenger stuff because it's not so reliant on people investing and doing pumps and dumps and things like that.
Yeah.
Because it's a service to the protocols versus the protocol itself. So that was kind of nice. But now if I'm doing my own protocol, I have to worry about, people being safe in there. And well, not that passenger wasn't having to have those issues as well, but it's a little bit different when you have an actual token out and people are buying and selling it. So we have to be very careful, take all the precautions that we can. And I want everyone to be safe. I want to be safe at the same time. I know we might have to be dealing with some of these crazy people and, what you've had to deal with. But I'm just trying to take precautions. And I think everyone should be careful in crypto and just, not get too crazy, have fun with it, but don't, risk your life or anything like that. It's not worth it.
Absolutely. You know me, I consider all these DeFi projects games, not investment vehicles or anything, because I'm in the US and the SEC is real strict about what you call an investment, and this is an unregulated space. So to me, all these projects are experiments and games and stuff, and people should know that all of this stuff is super risky. Don't put in more to anything in DeFi than you're willing to lose, and always, have some level of personal accountability for your actions, and don't go after somebody who might be managing an experimental project or game that might not go as expected, and you can never control the markets either or what other people do. Now, if there is any malicious, like financial fraud with like malicious intent, that's a different scenario. Authorities need to go after those people who are like legit rug pulling maliciously. But if like a project fails because maybe it was an experimental idea or it just failed upon its own merits, or even mismanagement, incompetence, ineptitude, things like that, like that's no reason to go threatening to kill people or anything. Like everybody should know the risks of this stuff. Now, I'm not saying you're any of those things. I think you're very skilled and person in this space, and you have a bunch of great connections and ideas. But I'm just saying, if you do dox yourself, no matter what you do, good or bad, you'll always get that heat coming at you. just because your face is out there and in this this shadowy realm of DeFi, when somebody shows their face, it makes them a target because they're the only thing people see. So if you put your face out there on camera and somebody's mad and somebody lost money and is emotional about it, they're going to want to lash out at whoever they see. That could be YaBonks here. That could be Josh if you end up going that route. Or it could be Dow
Yeah.
King. Like him and I have had many conversations about this privately. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's you really summed it up well, and you made me even more afraid now.
Dude, I'm all about properly representing risk. All right, I don't want
Yeah.
anybody to be high or enchanted on the wonders of DeFi without knowing the true risks out here, especially dealing with people in an unregulated financial space.
Yeah, and honestly, everyone should be doing your own research all the time in this space. I jump into projects like very carelessly at times, but you should really be looking into the mechanisms and the functions in the audits and everything before you do anything. So I don't recommend doing what I do. Don't do what I do.
Don't do what I do either. I'm bad at trading. I time everything terribly, right? But I can
By
read
the top.
Yeah, I can read the code and the white
exactly.
papers and explain the mechanism. So if you do want to play in these projects, I can give you some information on them. That's always subject to change and might be incorrect. So like he said, do your own research. We're here to entertain you. At least I am. Yeah. So that's a big decision, Josh. If you want to go that route, if you do, I have a lot of respect for that. If you don't, I also respect that too, because you're a person. You care about your safety and well-being, and you probably have a family and all that stuff too. My wife is totally freaked out that I'm doing this stuff, but I've got a lot of guns and I've got a pond full of alligators, so I've got some level of defense here in case somebody shows up on my property like, I didn't like your YouTube video, sir. We're about to throw hands or something like that. You know what I'm saying?
You have your own death threats built into your own farm. You have freaking alligators on your farm.
It's if you come onto my property, it's implied. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'm really jealous of your farm. It's awesome.
You live on a farm too, though, right?
Yeah, but your farm has crazy animals on it, and my farm has like boring animals on it.
I do live in the tropical, subtropical, crazy world known as Florida.
Yeah, you're Florida man. You actually are Florida man. So
I am Florida man.
I have a lot of respect, and I like the comedic value of Florida man. So
me too. Man.
Meth gators.
Yeah, Zephyr says meth gators. Lola Bunny says you have bonks. Bonks is the most dangerous. If for those listening who don't know where my nickname YaBonks came from, it came from my goose, whose nickname is Bonks. So his name is Godric the Goose. He's a rescue goose on our animal sanctuary here. He came from a terrible situation. He's hyper intelligent and emotional, and he's like a little dinosaur with a human brain and like sharp piercing blue eyes. He's amazing, and he really responds to the nickname Bonks. He loves those plosive consonants like bonks. So you say bonks and he's like, and he looks at you and he gets all interested. So we call him Bonks, and then I'm like, what should my internet nickname be? And we just decided to go with YaBonks.
I love it. And then when I first heard the name, I just had to know what the heck that was. I thought it was like some weird. I don't even know what I thought it was. But
it's bizarre. If you have no idea where it came from, it's probably super bizarre sounding. But it's fun to say.
Yeah, it was funny to say. So D Ash PJ has a question.
Nice, Cripzom. He has a farm too.
Everyone's got farms. So he's saying it reminds him of an automated retirement investment plan, and should Hare be held longer than the contracted vault? So my personal feeling, and this is a DYOR, is that Hare will go up because of the DCA method. people will be putting a lot of buy pressure on the token every single time they invest. And because there's a high sell tax and a higher withdrawal penalty, I would imagine that the Hare is going to keep going up and up and up. There will be some dumps as each term ends. And we didn't really talk about this on the AMA, but we're using that protocol. Where did I put it here? I have my supply distribution. Oh gosh, where did I put it? Anyway, we have like a sort of a buyback as part of our, what goes from the taxes will be saved to do buybacks on these special days that are like 15, 30, 45, 60, because I know there's going to be some dumps as people start to collect their Hare. It won't be a ton because of the taxes, but we still want to have those in place just in case.
Interesting. Okay, I did not see that when I went through your white paper. So
yeah, I'm trying to find it. It's in there, but I just can't see it. It's in the... Where is it? Where the heck is it? Rolling down. Oh, supply distribution. Trading fees. There it is. It's at the bottom. So if you look at the trading fee breakdown, the protocol reserves are what we're using to save in these situations for if there's any excessive dumps that we need to do buybacks to maintain the protocol or stabilize the protocol, I should say. So that's what that's used for.
Okay.
And yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that's a good thing. I meant to point that out earlier, that if people see protocol reserves, that's kind of like an insurance fund to do strategic buybacks in the case of black swan liquidity events, or even just general liquidity dumps that you might think are bad for the general price action. Is that right?
Yeah. And originally, actually, one of the ideas originally, but I think Sphere is doing this now, where they're doing an auto buyback.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You probably know Sphere pretty well, but
yeah.
I wanted to, like, one of my original things was I wanted to do an auto buyback, but we didn't end up doing it because we were focused on the other things like the DCA method, and now I think we're not going to do it at all. But it was a cool idea, and Sphere, I actually haven't looked at their chart lately, but they were just, it was just massive in the beginning. I don't know what they're doing now, but I'm actually going to pull up their chart just because I want to see, because I did a little bit of Sphere investing originally. I think like everything else in the market right now, it's just kind of hurting.
Yeah. And I wanted to point out, you are using USDC as your the other half of that liquidity pair for your liquidity pool. So it's going to be Hare / USDC liquidity pairs, and that will kind of have less volatility than if you were paired with, say, AVAX, because if the entire crypto market dumps and AVAX dumps, then you suffer from impermanent loss in your liquidity pool, which would take down the price, the value of Hare represented in relation to AVAX and US dollars and all that. So pairing it with a stable coin in your liquidity pools, that I like that personally, because it more protects your capital, in my opinion, in down markets. Whereas a lot of other people might pair it with like AVAX or BNB on like the BSC chain in an attempt to try to gain the impermanent loss on the upside. So they try to bolster the price by riding the waves of the markets that way. But then if the markets go the other way, it has the exact opposite effect, and it can and that's why you see when BNB goes down 5%, all of the things, all the projects that pair with BNB in their liquidity pools, they tank like 10, 20%, like from these movements. And the ones that paired with stable coins in their liquidity pools fared the best. And Sphere, that you mentioned, has been moving over to a stablecoin based liquidity system to protect against this crash. And so have some other protocols as well. So it's interesting that you, right off the bat, knowing this market, went straight to pairing with a stablecoin.
Yeah, actually, you know how that came about is we actually voted on it. That
Really?
was that was part of we did a vote in our server, and we said, what do people want the most? We did AVAX, we did USDC, we did USDT, and the USDCE was the highest voted. So it was kind of a community driven decision there. And I appreciate that since we're going for stability anyway.
Yeah.
And plus, who doesn't like, getting the USDC a stable reward is kind of nice too. A lot of other protocols are doing that now. Is there going to be a zap function
nice.
into the pools? Crypsom is asking, is there going to be a zap function into the pools?
What does that mean?
He just means, can you zap instantly with one of the tokens and turn it into an LP and have it go straight into the straight staked into the pool without having to go to Trader Joe, or we're doing Pangolin, but having to create your LP, which is a pain in the butt. But you take higher fees. So we haven't decided that yet. I have worked with Kojaks on zapping functions before with Passenger, because we did zapping for bomb money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also on BSC. But we know how to do that. Whether we're going to do that yet is, the LP is going to be after the first set of things that launch. So the Vault or the Meadows is going to be first, and then the LP is going to be after. So we're still figuring out some of that stuff, but I really appreciate that suggestion for the zap function. I'm not going to give you a firm answer on that just yet.
Yeah.
Should we use APR here since there's no auto compounding Hare? Yeah, I suppose you're right. We shouldn't, because there isn't. Hare doesn't auto compound. Oh wait, you're saying Hare or here?
I think they're talking about the Meadow Vaults, and it shows on the 15-day, it has that 1% APR daily, and then it shows the APY is like 3,500% approximately. Do the USDC rewards compound on themselves every day, or does it not?
You know what? That question I'm going to have to ask Kojaks about, because I'm not sure if it's doing compounding on itself or not. So I'm going to save that for the next AMA.
Okay.
Maybe when I do the Dow King AMA, I think Kojaks is going to be joining that one as well. So we'll get his take on the compounding of the. Typically in a vault you do compound, but this is kind of a different sort of vault where we're doing DCA instead. We just happen to call it a vault, but it's not like a traditional vault. So I can't give you a firm answer on that one yet, but I will on the next AMA.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay.
Looks like
that's a great question. Something. That is a great question. And is that 1% daily APR maybe, I don't know if you know this one off the top of your head, is that based on the current value of your staked Hare at that moment in time, or is that based on your?
It would be based on the value of your your initial deposit.
Okay, so if I put $1,000 in, that 1% daily APR is going to be 10% approximately, minus the deposit fees.
10%. Did you say 10%?
1%. I'm at $10.
I was like, whoa, we're getting DJ in here.
I don't know if I said that right, but if I put in $1,000, I deposited it.
You did, yeah.
Let's just deposit fees aside. Let's just assume I put $1,000 into the vault. I would get 1% daily from that, and I believe that's $10 out of that 1,000. So I'd get $10 a day. And
correct.
If it's just using the APR based on the initial value that I deposited there, then I don't believe it would compound. It would just be 10 added into the reward pool.
You're right. Now that you've talked through it, it's definitely not compounding, because it's doing a 1% APR per day. So that's correct.
Because otherwise, if it's compounding, it would be on. Well, I don't know. Yeah, so I'm making guesses and assumptions there, and I haven't looked at the code of your smart contract yet. So if Kojak's, he would know better, and when your contract is ready to be deployed, I would love to go through it and see how he's doing things there as well. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, we actually on the earlier AMA today, we actually we actually had a whole discussion about disclosing our contract early because of this whole new method of DCA.
Yeah.
He was worried about someone taking the idea and just coming out with a fork instantly before we even finish.
Yeah, and that happens.
Yeah, so we're going to be pretty careful about releasing anything before it's fully public. Obviously, once it gets audited, it'll be out. But yeah, we're going to be holding it pretty tight until it is audited.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Get all your ducks in a row, and right after that audit's approved, do your thing with it.
But actually, the auto compounding thing isn't a terrible idea, honestly, because a lot of farms like Yield Wolf and Beefy and a bunch of those, and then a lot of Tomb Forks have their own built-in auto compounders. So it could be like an L5 or an L6 for us or something like that down the road. And maybe I'll even speak to Yield Wolf or Beefy at some point when we have enough volume. A lot of those auto compounders, they go based off of volume, or there's a huge fee. I want to say Beefy is like, I don't know, 100K or something.
Wow.
I could be wrong. I think well, Golden isn't still here, but some of those OG Tomb Fork guys definitely know how much the auto compounders cost, like Yield Wolf and Beefy. But yeah, I'd be talking to them. That would be down the road. That's like extremely far roadmap stuff. But yeah, right now we got to focus on L1.
Yeah.
The first part, the main part, and then we'll get to the other stuff. But
so
yeah, I think I'm gonna
go ahead. I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh yeah, I think I'm gonna stop us here.
Yeah, me too. I've got to get running. I've got another meeting here, but just to
You got another meeting right now?
dude, I have meetings all night, every night now. Like I sleep just
Lord.
like I take tiny little naps here and there. Things are crazy right now, dude. This thing's blowing up so fast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
So with all that being said, do you have a date in mind for when you think this will go live, or when that pre-deposit? So there will be a 12-hour pre-deposit window for all whitelist participants, correct?
Yeah, and you'll be able to get that 3% deposit fee, which is like a huge advantage from the 12% on a DEX. But at the same time, we put in all these protective mechanisms to have anti-dump. So that's why I'm like pretty liberal with my whitelist giving. I'm letting a lot of people get some whitelists. Pretty easy ways to get whitelist, and you'll be able to get 10 from us.
Yep, I'm going to be giving away 10 to my viewers. So if you're still watching at this point, look out for. I'm going to make a video in the next couple days, probably, and I'll set up a whole contest and decide, how people can enter into the contest and how the logistics are going to work to get those 10 whitelist spots. Do you have any firm date in mind for launch yet?
I'm not going to give you a firm date, but I'm going to say it's going to be likely. See, we're at the 19th already. It's going to be likely end of first week of June or somewhere in the middle of June, probably.
Okay, so probably
that's just a rough guess right now because we're still finishing up the protocol, but that's my estimate right now.
So approximately 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to say roughly 2. Depends on how these next few weeks go and how everything finishes up, but okay. I want to make sure everything's properly tested and we get a nice audit, and we have some other things to get ready too. So have to
Absolutely.
be all ready.
So that'll give me a good time frame for setting up the whitelist giveaway contest in the next few days. Then I'll put together a video for it and make a big exciting thing about it. And I'll probably give a 1 week time period for people to enter into it. And then they'll get their whitelist spots, and then they'll still probably have another week or so at least before this thing launches, so they can prepare. Whoever wins the whitelist can like go in and do their research and learn about your protocol and the ins and outs of it before this happens. So I think that's a good time period for me to do this whitelist giveaway.
Yeah, and if you need anything else, you know where to find me.
Yeah, of course. You're in my secret Discord server, man.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah, we'll have more discussions about all your secret stuff too. So
awesome. I look forward
cool,
to
dude.
it. Thank you so much for donating those whitelist spots to my community. I appreciate it, and it's been great chatting with you here in front of everybody.
Yeah, man, I love being on your show and love your little secret server, and I'm glad that you actually contribute to Raiders of DeFi with all your YouTube videos. You post them like almost daily. It gives us some good content for YouTube section. So really appreciate that too. And your drip army and everything. And yeah, man, you're doing lots of good stuff. So keep it up.
Thank you. I foresee us doing a lot of things together in the future in DeFi. You're a great person to know here, and you've introduced me to a lot of wonderful people in the community. So thanks for that.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. I will be talking to you soon, and thanks everyone for joining us. Just be on the lookout for any new announcements from Hare. Obviously, we'll be working on the protocol in the next few weeks and adding any new or interesting things as we go. And also take a look out for Passenger's crazy new features in my other server. I can give you a link to that. And yeah, I think that's it for now. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and thank you, Josh. I will post a video here in the next few days for that whitelist contest for Hare Finance. So thank you, everybody, for watching.